different class. So the goal today is, as we go through this, we'll be walking through the different chakras, and we'll be looking at poses associated with it. And your goal is to kind of find out where you are today. So not forcing anything, but feeling the different poses. What feels hard? What feels easy? What does that kind of tell us about where we are in life right now? Was it expected? Was it unexpected? All of that good stuff. So go into this practice with an open mind and know that today might feel different than other days, or the same or better. You just don't really know. So let's start with a little bit of breathing. So sitting nice and tall, rolling those shoulders back and down, inhaling and exhaling. We're going to go right in, even though we are doing most of these mudras at the end of class, let's go ahead and just find that root mudra. So bringing that thumb and fingertip together, inhaling and exhaling. So at first, just noticing the breath, noticing any constrictions. Then encouraging your body to relax the belly on the inhale and engage the belly on the exhale. And now a lot of people will say breathe into the belly. In reality, as the diaphragm engages and allows our lungs to expand, we relax our belly so that our organs have a place to go. That's what's really happening. And then as we exhale, engaging the belly just slightly kind of helps push that air up and out. Breathing this way can also help make sure that we're using that pelvic floor in conjunction with the diaphragm. And just imagine this breath as you breathe in and out, traveling through the spine, as if you have a canal there. Allowing you to sit up a little taller. Then checking in on that ujjayi breath. So how do we know that we're doing this? If we want, we can try through our mouth at first, inhaling, exhaling. Maybe just a couple times to get that feeling. And then when you're ready, close your mouth, but continue that feeling on your throat of that ujjayi breath. Again, just feeling that energy in your seat, sitting nice and tall, rolling the shoulders up, back, and down, growing up tall out of our root. Letting the hands relax onto the knees. If you need to, sometimes I find an easy position. If you're sitting in that, it's nice to switch the legs out, because if you always sit the same way, you'll always sit the same way. But let's do a couple things to just wake up our whole spine, kind of create some openness in those pathways. So moving with our breath, we're going to let ourselves do, I've always called them chakra circles, but just a body circle. Just let yourself drop down on the exhale and come up on the inhale. So allowing that spine to move over that root, still warming up and kind of stimulating the root chakra. When you're ready, you can switch direction just so you're not always going the same way. Inhaling and exhaling. Allowing yourself to rest center. You can roll your shoulders back and down. Allow your eyes to open. We're going to move into some physical postures. So let's move on to all fours. Still thinking about our whole spine. And again, we're focused on the root for now, just to kind of help set ourselves up. And in this position, the root happens a little bit differently. So something to think about is that nice wide hand, making sure that those middle fingers are pointed to the front edge of our mat for that strong base of support. When you're ready, inhale, dropping the belly through, gazing up at the sky as much as we can. Then exhale, tucking the tailbone, rounding, moving through cat and cow. Inhale and exhale. And our spine loves to do 4 things. It loves to do this. It loves to do flexion and extension. It also loves to do rotation and lateral flexion. So on any physical chakra practice, I always start by giving the spine its 4 movements that it likes, because that's ultimately what we need to have open and ready to move. So let's start with some rotation. We're going to use our left hand, slide it underneath, not quite to thread the needle, but kind of a start here, looking at our palm. And then we inhale and raise it up, going for that twist. So exhale and inhale, just move at your own pace, kind of whatever that looks like to your breath, holding it in a position for a while if you want to. Exhaling and inhaling. Then holding that reach, really get into the twist, pull the shoulder blade back, and release. Nice. And let's just try on the other side. Exhale, sliding our hand through. Inhale, bringing it up. Good. Exhale and inhale. And going at your own pace. And notice, too, a little side-to-side difference. I know for me, it feels very different side to side as I go through this. Doing one more, holding the reach. Reaching to the sky, holding, and release. Awesome. Sit back for a moment in child's pose. Arms can reach forward. They can come underneath our forehead. They can come beside our body. Just whatever you need to do in child's pose. And remember that this is a pose you can always come back to. So if you ever need to take a break in your practice, just come back to this pose. It tells me that, hey, I'm good. I'm just kind of taking a moment. I just need to decompress, or I need to reset. Just lets me know that you're doing okay. You're just taking some time versus running out of the room, because I would worry about that. Moving back up into all fours, we're going to do something called tail wag. And this is something that I actually learned from Pilates, but I really love it for lateral flexion. So we're going to lift one foot up. It doesn't matter which one. Try to avoid grinding that knee into the ground. So you're still supporting yourself on your hands and your opposite leg. And then as you bring your leg out to the side, you'll look at that heel and then turn to look at your toes over the other shoulder. So you're getting a pretty deep lateral flexion for the spine, opening it up in a way that's also controlled, right? We have a closed chain movement here. And after a few on that side, you can just switch sides and do some on the other side. Coming back to center, sitting back one more time into child's pose. Very nice. We're going to progress into, I call it a half salutation. It's not the full thing. It's just the parts of sun salutation on the ground. So we're going to lift ourselves up. We'll start in a kneeling plank. Just kind of holding this for a moment. And then let's start with the eight-point stance, or knees, chest, chin, where you keep your toes down, keep your knees down, and then as you lower with your elbows in, you touch your chest and your chin so that you get a little break on the triceps, but you're still supporting here. Beautiful. And then release the lower body, lifting up into, just without pushing with our hands, a little bit of a back bend. As always, pushing the toes down into the mat just to keep our lower back supported. And then exhale to child's pose. From here, when you're ready, you can find your first downward facing dog, that little inverted V. Hips to the sky. Waking up, if you want, you can just kind of walk through the feet to wake up the backs of the legs, or not. Just whatever this is to you, whatever you need to find to wake up the body. Let's try that half salutation again. Inhaling to a plank. This time, if you want a full plank, you can find that. Nice. Then exhale, lowering. So think knees, chest, chin, or you can just lower into the chaturanga. And you can take a back bend of your choice. You can lift into a cobra, or you can find an upward facing dog, which is just more of an engagement, that lower body. Then exhale back to downward facing dog. From here, take as many baby steps as you can take, finding those feet in a forward bend. Bend the knees as you need to, just crawling yourself there. Then supporting somewhere in the forward bend. Hands to shins, to feet, or to the ground. Inhale, reaching up to the sky. Exhale into mountain. Nice. So we're going to take kind of moving through that same up and down sun salutation pattern. But let's move up the chain from the root into the sacral chakra. So inhale, reaching to the sky. Exhale, bend the knees, swan dive down, holding. Let's find a flat back here. So let's inhale to that half lift. You can kind of get the fingers in the toes. My back's not feeling that today, but you can also bring the hands onto the shins, lengthening, squeezing the shoulders. And then here's my fun little way to really open up the backs of the legs. Once you get into this half lift, shift, keep your heels down, but shift the weight onto the toes and try to straighten just a little more. Keep the heels down though, it's just a weight shift. It really opens up the backs of the legs. Lovely. Exhale, release. Let's step our right leg back, starting in a low lunge. Then bringing both hands inside, we can drop the back knee. allowing ourselves to lower into a lizard pose, which would just allow your elbows to bend a little bit, squeezing that left knee in toward your shoulder. So from a front stance, we're here. Yeah, so you're just allowing yourself, and feel free to adjust. Again, the focus has moved up, and when we're doing this physically, we're kind of talking about the hips. So you're going to see a lot of poses in the hips. You could also start to walk the foot out to get a little deeper into this if you want, if that feels okay to the hip. Play with your external rotation. You can do another heel then. So you can start to get deeper into the hip if you want, but there's nothing that says you have to. Eventually, you can bring yourself down onto your forearms, still pulling that knee in into lizard. And I'm not loving that today at all, so we will look at you. Looks great. My forearm, there, y'all look amazing. Good job, hips. You guys are feeling bendy today. Slowly walk yourself back up. We'll kind of heel toe that foot in, or toe heel, until it's in lunge, to allow ourselves then to step back into downward facing dog. We're going to work with the same hip. So lift that, let's see, for you guys, it would be your left leg. So lift your left leg up. I just need to face you. It'll change all of my. And then bring your gaze between your hands. Pull that left knee toward the left hand. Kick the foot out for pigeon. So here's how I like to start pigeon. We get here, and then this is where our leg stays. So if we have students who have to be back here, that's where their leg stays. Their knee just doesn't love it. But if we want to go further into it, that's fine too. And then we slide that back leg back and sit into pigeon. We can take this down, since we're focused on the hip, not the chest, not the back bend. We're going to have this lower version of pigeon here. Nice. And then let ourselves breathe. So at this point, you can let yourself kind of relax into this. With each breath, you'll probably get a little bit deeper. And if you want to eventually, you can come all the way down onto your arms, just laying over that leg, belly to thigh. And it's going to take some time, so breathe into it. It might not happen today. This pose is one of the ones that we love, and then we love to hate sometimes. So I notice, especially my runners in class, if they've had a lot of mileage that week, this is not their favorite pose to do, but they feel really good afterward. Nice. Another big deep breath. And then slowly walk ourselves up, tucking our toe, finding that downward facing dog, and breathing. To come forward, let's bring our right leg forward into a low lunge, and then reach up into a high lunge just to find that strength here. If we want a little bit of a challenge, more for our root than anything else, we can bring those hands together and bring our gaze up, kind of going for a little bit of a back bend. Using the energy in our legs to step together, and exhale to mountain. Big shoulder roll back and down, inhaling up again. Exhaling, diving again. Good. This time our left leg goes back, low lunge, and then allow ourselves to come inside the foot, heel toe out, drop the knee if we need to, start to slide into lizard. Taking it slowly, level by level, remembering to allow the knee to continue the inner thigh engagement here too. So when we're doing this with our hip, I think sometimes, especially with pigeon, we get really focused on this external rotation part, And so we start to get strong through here. And actually, people who do a lot of physical yoga practice sometimes have like piriformis syndrome because all of this gets so tight. So allow yourself to find a little stability with these muscles too, instead of just relaxing all the way open in lizard. That's kind of a little bit of our challenge here. Breathing, and feel free to go as low as you want to go. Sometimes the engagement's as simple as just keeping the big toe down. That's enough to just remind us of that part of our leg. Continuing to find those deep belly breaths. Slowly walking ourselves up, taking ourselves out of the pose. Again, heel toeing the foot in, straddling the foot with our hands, tucking the toes in, finally stepping back to a down dog. And we can reach that right foot to the sky. Using that momentum to sweep the leg in, setting up for pigeon, bringing the foot forward, walking the leg back, and trying, if we can, to flex this foot a little bit. I think once we get as far forward as you guys are getting, we can start to work then on finding that foot flex versus the point. The only reason I say that is it helps stabilize the knee a little bit, and it kind of brings into the full variation of this pose. It's going to be the same hip for me. I'm going to switch. Again, taking your breath and moving into the pose with this, slowly lowering down if you want to, bringing the head on the hands if you want to. Inhaling and exhaling. Send your breath into that hip to allow for a little extra openness. And allowing yourself to slowly walk out of the pose and press ourselves up and back into down dog. This time with our gaze forward, we can step that left foot forward to a low lunge, reach up into a high lunge, take a back bend if we want to. From here, using the energy in our legs to step in, reach out. Exhale, mountain. So moving up into our solar plexus chakra. So here's a good kind of yoga teacher cheat. Anytime we're doing twists, we are activating this. Anytime we're doing a pose that's primarily abdominal work, we're activating this. So quite honestly, probably one of the easiest ones to remember to utilize in a class. But we'll do a couple of little different things. So inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, swan dive down to a forward bend. And then let's step our right leg back into a low lunge. Knee can go down or up, but we're going to find a fist for a wrist into the mat, and then take our hand onto our thigh, twisting into a low revolved lunge. And I had a teacher once, she used to call this our lounge lunge. She's like, let yourself just kind of sink into the twist. Again, you can make it, it'll be a little about the hips, but make it about the belly too. So let yourself really, truly find the twist. And how we know we're doing that is to start to add that arm in. So first things first is reaching the arm, then taking the opposite glute, so that would be our right glute, squeeze it and pull the arm back so you're getting the back of the body activating that area of our spine or that chakra. And think too about building heat. That's one of the things that happens here, is we can build heat. Releasing back to center, stepping back into downward facing dog. Inhale into plank. And then we're going to shift onto that left side for side plank. And if we get a little wobbly, just drop that knee down. And you're here. Coming back to center, lowering to the mat, whatever way we want to lower. Good. And then bring those arms forward, lifting our heart into Sphinx. So, remember bow pose. We can do a full bow, or we can do half bow. We're going to do half bow today because I want to show you something about engaging the other half of the body in a little different way. So we'll just do this side because it's the side closest to you. Let's bring right hand back, and you can either grab your foot with your hand over or flip your hand, bring your thumb to your big toe, and you get a deeper chest opener. Now it's about your belly. So do we care about the chest? Maybe, maybe not. From here, can you kick the foot into the hand and let that tension hold? Now, feel where you feel the breath. In the belly. Can we, from here, extend the opposite arm and leg forward? Think about a neutral neck. Kick into the hand a little bit more. Breathe into that belly. You can feel the mat working against you here. So this poses a lovely link between the solar plexus and the heart chakra. Releasing when we're ready. Pressing up to plank and back to down dog. And then we can walk or hop our feet forward to a forward bend. Reverse swan dive. Gazing up to the sky. Let's go ahead and dive all the way back down. This time stepping that left leg back. Same thing. Fist for wrist. Revolving into this. We can start kind of pressing the hip down if we want to lean into it or stay more neutral. Either one's okay. But in order to really use our back into this twist to get the front of our body open, let's think about raising the arm, pulling the shoulder, and squeezing with the opposite glute to pull ourselves into that twist. Slowly releasing the leg back into down dog, into plank, and then shifting onto that right side, side plank. Slowly shifting back to center, lowering down, left foot and left hand. So our elbow can come down to the mat. Getting that set up, getting the push, finding the lift and the link here between our chest and our belly. And then when we're ready, we can add that kick with the reach for half bow pose. Think about the neck. So we don't want to overlook nice long neck. Releasing, pressing back to down dog. Walking or jumping into forward bend. Reverse swan dive. Moving into a full heart center openness. Let's take our hands. They're actually going to go behind our head, kind of with our thumbs tracking down the sides of our neck. Opening our arms as if they're wings, and then letting ourselves find a little standing back bend with those wing arms. There's no real official name here except, hey, let's open the heart a little bit in mountain pose in a standing back bend. And then double check what's going on in that lower back, that we're not hanging out there. Allow the tailbone to drop and the hips to go forward, and see if you can lay back a little more. Coming back to center, releasing our hands. Wow, my fingers almost went to sleep in that one. That was a lot. So like half bow pose, I set us up for this next pose, dancer pose, our Lord of Dancers pose, if you've ever done it. I'm a little picky about how I teach it because I've seen it teach kind of cruddy before. So just a quick demo on dancer. So just like in half bow, you want the goal to be the extension in the back body. So imagine that you have that floor in front of you again. Arm will lift. The lean only happens because of the kick. So a lot of people will keep the bend here and have the lean, and nothing's happening in the back of the body. So it's not really a chest opening pose. But let's try it. Pick a foot, doesn't matter which. There's also a lot of bars in here because they teach a bar class in here. So let's try the reach and the kick. And then just get comfortable with the kick. As you get comfortable with the kick, you can kind of pull the leg up. As you start to pull the leg up, then you can start to have that lean. Nice, slow, and controlled. To come out of it, we come back up to the center and release. Nice. Usually one person loses it about halfway up to the center. That was very controlled, guys. That was great. Let's try the other side. Foot in hand. Well, it was me that lost it that time. Opposite arm up. And then a kick. And if you want to try the grab with the thumb to the big toe, it's kind of nice on this one since we're focused on the heart to get that grab. And again, allow it to develop over time. Right? Back to center and release gracefully, which we all did, right? Awesome. Big shoulder roll, kind of shake it out. Let's find the front of the mat. Open the legs a little bit wider than normal. So not quite a wide leg, but wider than normal. Just allow yourself to find a really relaxed forward bend. You can even make this more of kind of like a ragdoll situation where you find the hands inside the elbows and just let yourself rest. You've got that bend in the knee that's supporting the lower back. Breathing. releasing our hands, walking ourselves into that thunderbolt pose. So we're just sitting down, almost like heroes, except that our heels are underneath us. Shoulders up, back, and down. And just let yourself kind of start rolling the neck up to one ear, down, and then up to the other. So again, as this travels up from our heart center, up to our throat, let the energy travel. We're going to add in that fun lion's breath. Now, if you ever teach a kids yoga class, you're talking about this, always teach lion's breath. They love it. They love it. And you can make up all kinds of stories to go with it. There's a couple different ways to do this. So you can set up your body how you want. Kind of a really simple beginner way of teaching this is just sitting here in thunderbolt pose and allowing yourself to have kind of a natural lean forward with your hands on your knees. So we'll start kind of level by level. We'll take a big breath in. As you exhale, just stick your tongue out as you exhale. So open your mouth wide and inhale, exhale. Kind of continue on your own. And you'll start by opening the eyes wide as you exhale. And finally, you'll imagine that you're bringing your eyes up to that third eye. So try to elongate that exhale now that we've done this for a while. And then if you want to get a little different with the lower body, you can actually come forward onto the palms. You can get into like a little stance here and make this your lion's pose stance. So I bring my heels together to do it. Inhale and exhale. And relax. I love how serious adults are about it because kids are the opposite of serious, but they love doing it. In fact, my daughter demoed it for our textbook. I let her do all the breathing pictures. It's like, what am I comfortable with my kid doing? All right. So we're going to do a pose that might be new to some people, probably not you, but maybe if y'all haven't done this one yet, rabbit pose. Different name in Sanskrit. But we're going to get ourselves onto the very top of our head, and to me, the safest pose to do that with a group of an unknown level. So if you were to teach this in a class, I don't teach headstand in class because I don't know what people are doing with their necks, and especially now we have a lot of living well classes on campus. And I know you taught some living well classes with Anna, didn't you? The faculty. And then it's over Zoom or something. So I'm like, don't do it. I don't know who you are. And they'll jump into it or something. So occasionally I'll do like an L-shaped handstand because we have a little bit more control there. But I like this pose because it gets the same idea. For rabbit pose, you start into it as if you're going to child's pose, but you bring your hands to your heels. And then as you tuck your chin, you bring the top of your head to the mat. Then you can lift your hips. Some people have more mobility or longer length arms to get into this pose. That's full rabbit. So my hips aren't lifting that much, but some people can really get their hips up nice and high, especially if they have more mobility or room in rabbit. Nice. So when you're ready, find seated. So I teach it by seated and touching the heels. And then as you lean forward, you'll find yourself able to kind of wrap your hands around your heels. Then deeply tuck your chin, top of your head on the mat. Then you can allow your hips to lift. So you get a deep chin tuck, a hip lift, and you'll feel a lovely stretch between your shoulder blades. Nice. Breathing. Inhale and exhale. And then allow your hips to come back down, come out of this nice and slow since we were essentially upside down. So we're going to set up for a seated meditation. So if you want to grab a bolster now, you can. So instead of laying flat on the mat like we do sometimes, we're going to do this one seated. So you might be here for a little longer than normal. Sometimes I'll do a seated meditation against the wall, but I don't, with the bars, we're not going to do that today. So you can sit in regular easy seated pose or tucking one heel up into half lotus. When you start to go out of easy pose to a lotus position, one thing that you want to really strive for is the heel really turning up toward the sky as much as you can, or the flat part of the foot. You don't want it tucked anymore. You want it turned this way. It's for the knees, it's for the hips, it's for a lot of our joints. It just provides that stability, kind of like in pigeon, little different way. And then, of course, you can turn that heel to the sky here, aiming for that little crease right here at the top of your thigh. A full lotus would be one foot over the other. I find that it's not yet comfortable for me to sit there for a really long time. So for me, yeah, so if that feels good to you. But for me, half lotus is great. I love it. And I'll just switch with which leg I put on top. So that's just something to think about. But let's go back into that root. And I've left the mudras up here so that you'll kind of know where we're going. We can open your eyes. This isn't one of those things where, if you open your eyes, like the meditation police are going to come. So if you need to look and gaze as we go, you can. But I'm going to use the meditation that my dear friend Gail wrote for us today. So allow yourself to sit tall. Find a solid place where you can feel the ground beneath you. Taking our hands out into that root mudra. Thumb and index fingers touch. Arms are fairly straight with our hands on our knees, palms to the ceiling. Remembering back to the very beginning of class when we talked about what the word chakra really means, the wheel, the circle. To me, that signifies interconnectedness, but also if you think about the shape of your fingers right now, you're making that circle. You're making that energetic home. Sitting comfortably, feeling rooted to the earth. Feel the warmth and the energy, the connection to the earth. Draw all of that energy up into the first chakra, the root chakra, Muladhara. Shifting our hands into the second mudra. Right hand on top of left, hands in our lap, palms facing upward. Right about 2 inches below the navel. Eyes closed. Envision all of that warmth from the earth spinning into a bright white light. Feel that light move up just a little up your spine into the second chakra, the sacral chakra, Swadhisthana. This is that seat of desire, of energy, of passion, of creativity. Imagine there in the pelvic floor as a bowl of water, letting that light dance across the water. Slowly shifting so that our palms are together and our thumbs overlap, pulling the heels of the hands into that solar plexus chakra. And let this light rise to the third chakra, the solar plexus, Manipura. This is the seat of our personal power, our expansiveness, and our growth. Let this light warm the solar plexus like the bright yellow light of the sun. Switching back to that original mudra, this time taking the right hand, finger and thumb to our heart. Let the light enter that fourth chakra, the heart chakra, Anahata. This is the seat of love, compassion, and home to our true selves. Embrace this light as it fills our heart and begins to pulse with our heartbeat. Allowing our hands to shift to the next mudra, interlacing our fingers, letting our thumbs touch. So I'm just resting in our stomach area. Let the white light rise to the fifth chakra, the throat chakra, Vishuddha. This is the seat of expression. Letting this light give energy to our voices so that we may speak the truth. Shifting our hands, changing our mudra again, bring those middle fingers together as we bend our rest of our fingers at our first knuckle, resting right in front of our heart. Letting the light rise to our third eye, Anja. Letting the light illuminate our inner selves and guide our vision. For our final mudra, we interlace all of our fingers except our pinkies. Those point straight upward and come down closer to our stomach. Allowing the light to rise into our 7th chakra, the crown chakra, right above our head, Sahasrara. This is the 1,000 petaled lotus flower. Pure consciousness, our connection to anyone and everyone and everything, connection to the universe. Allowing this light that came from the ground radiating out now through the top of our head. Joining all the other bright white lights. Relaxing our hands just casually in our lap as we imagine this connectedness and take a moment to enjoy that feeling of connectedness. Now let's begin to draw the light back into the top of our head, a softer light now. And imagine it flowing to the 3rd eye and then continuing its journey until it rests in our heart. Like a candle there. And allow it to glow and shine on the wisdom in our hearts. When we're ready, we can open our eyes, bring our hands together. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for practicing.